Hi, this is U.S. Chess Federation Life Master Kevin Noren with another game to show you. If you haven't seen this game, I think you're going to like it. Even if you have seen it, you're going to like it. So, White was played by somebody named Colburn, whom I've never heard of, and the player of the black pieces was Blackburne. Now, this is Joseph Henry Blackburne, the great English chess player from the 19th century, not the place Blackburne, Lancashire, in which they found 4,000 holes. So let's get that straight. But anyway, So now let's get on with the game. White started with e4, Black played e5, and we have our old friend from a previous game, the center game. d4, Black takes, the most natural move, the best. White takes with the queen. Problem with this opening is Black gets a free move with knight c6. Now, as I explained before, queen e3 is the most commonly played move. We saw White actually beat Wilhelm Steinitz, the world champion, before. Here's a game, this is a different outcome here. Now, I mentioned that g6 is a good move. The most common move and possibly the best is knight f6, but g6 is also a very good move, even though it takes a couple moves to develop the bishop. It's on a very nice diagonal, and often White castles queenside in this opening, so the bishop would be aimed right in that direction, which is nice. So White played bishop to d2, the standard kind of plan, and Black plays bishop g7, hitting b2. White could, and maybe this is even a little better, to play bishop c3, but he played the standard knight c3, continuing with the usual plan of castling queenside. Black develops as well. He could play the knight to f6, but he wanted to keep the diagonal open for the bishop and plays it to g7. Now White castles queenside, e7. Black castles kingside. No, White should probably just develop a piece. Instead, he has some idea of like maybe keeping pieces out of the e5 square or getting some attack when he plays f4. But that looks okay superficially, but you know, you're wasting a move. Black is developed nice and cleanly, and Black is going to start taking the initiative right now. I saw some other commentary of this game in which Black's move, which was d5, somebody said that, well, the right reaction to an attack towards the king is a reaction in the center. I've heard that general principle for years, and I've never fully understood it. It seems to me that you have to just find the best move you can when you're faced with an attack. This isn't really even much of an attack. It never really got off the ground. You can bet that Blackburne wasn't thinking in terms of, well, he might attack me on the king's side, I better react in the center. No, Blackburne simply saw that, well, d5 is just a very good move. There's no time for White to either play knight f3 or e5 because Black is threatening d4, forking the queen and the knight. If White had played knight f3, Black could still play d4 because he's got it sufficiently protected and will win a piece. So, White doesn't have much choice but to take on d5. Now, it's probably okay for Black to simply take on d5. He's got a good game, a wide open position with nice squares for his pieces, but Blackburne is playing this game very aggressively and plays knight to b4. He wants to recapture with a knight and keep up an attack on this queen. You see, Black is trying to get this constant initiative going, one threat after another. Now, White plays the most sensible-looking move, probably the best move. He develops his bishop and defends a d5 square again, and Black might still be able to safely take that pawn, but Blackburne, in this game, he's just interested in just hammering White and plays bishop to f5 instead. Now that hits the c2 square. Now these bishops are looking really menacing. We can already see that it looks a little dangerous for white. Now white makes the most obvious move again, and again I don't see anything wrong with it. Bishop to b3. Simply defending this c2 square. So after bishop to b3, Blackburne finally regained his pawn with knight on b4 takes d5. And white's queen is threatened. He exchanges off a piece. Knight recaptures, again attacking the queen. And if white wants to get rid of this knight with bishop takes d5, the queen recaptures, and black is threatening both g2 and a2. And so that's not too appealing. So, with the queen attacked, white decides to counterattack with queen to f3, now threatening the knight on d5. And Blackburne, well, he doesn't retreat the knight. In this game, he's just never content to make a defensive move and plays another attacking move, queen to f6. Look at this diagonal. Now threatening, queen takes b2, checkmate. So white makes the obvious way to stop it with c3. And, but he's not going to get a break. Now comes knight to b4. Now that knight can't be taken because of the same queen takes b2 mate that we saw before. But right now black is also threatening knight to d3 check, which is protected by the bishop. If the king moves, then we've got knight to e5 check, discovered attack from the bishop check, and wins the queen. So now white plays bishop to d3 in order to capture that knight should it go to d3. Bishop to c4. So, but he's not going to get it. He's still not going to get a break. And now comes, well, how do you continue this attack? Take a good look at the board. Well, Blackburne played his queen to a6. And now, if white takes on a6, we've got this pretty checkmate. Knight takes a2. Remember, the bishop is covering these two squares. So after queen to a6, it's really desperate right here. What can he do? I mean, the bishop is threatened. At this point, white just got desperate and made this little lunge, g4, attacking the bishop. And if that bishop would just go away, then maybe white can pull his game together. And Blackburne could even take this bishop here. But instead he plays queen takes a2. Once again, the bishop can't take because we still have this knight takes a2 checkmate. Black is also threatening queen to b1 checkmate or queen to a1 mate. And it doesn't help for white to take this bishop because queen to a1 is still mate because the knight covers the c2 square. He can't take the knight because, well, either queen to b1 or a1 is checkmate. So what does that lead him? I mean, he just tries to make an escape square for the king on d2 by moving this bishop to e3. Now, Blackburne could win by simply taking the bishop on c4. That's good enough. But he wins in style and plays bishop takes, c3. Again threatening mate. If white takes, we have queen c2 checkmate. If he takes the bishop, queen takes b2 checkmate. There is just no good way out of this, and so white just resigned at this point. A very pretty game, and I hope you enjoyed it, and that concludes the third game in our series.